Coming up, the town of Andover picks up the pieces after multiple tornadoes tear through Kansas.
No tornadoes today, but thunderstorms, they are already upon our counties here in the 4 states. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Carl Junction takes aim at a national archery championship.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's get to Michael Hayslip in this stormy forecast.
Getting right on it is we've got some lightning that's been very impressive, especially for our southern counties. Come in here, and what we'll do is we'll put on the sweeping radar so we can talk about intensity of our rain. Pretty widespread right now, making a little southeast to northwest movement from northeast Oklahoma, just about to get into northwest Arkansas, then stretching across the Kansas-Oklahoma state line into southeast Kansas. We talked a little bit about our lightning, and it has not disappointed, like I said, especially when you get down to the south. There's a look at the lightning tracker. Look at that, just dominating portions of far northeastern Oklahoma, clipping Delaware County far down to the south as well, and then into northwest Arkansas. You'll notice we're not seeing a whole lot of lightning associated with what we're getting in southeast Kansas. That, however, is subject to change. And then when we talk about our watches and warnings dominating the green, stretching right along the Kansas-Missouri state line throughout portions of southern southwest Missouri. Flood watch, no surprise, especially in between I-49 and I-44 down to the southeast, where we had the majority of that rain to start last week, and then it just kept on coming down. Here's where we stand temperature-wise, in between about 53 and 60, so that's rather comfortable. The rain is going to stick around all morning long and kind of set us up for one of those every other day patterns on the 7-day forecast. As far as what we'll start the work week with, as this one rolls through, the rain does not disappoint intensity-wise, becomes a little bit more scattered for today. And then you'll notice this band right here. This is the one we're really going to keep tabs on for tonight into Tuesday morning. As that thing develops, one of those lines again, it moves from northeast down to northwest down to southeast. And so that's going to drop additional rain, and that also is going to pack a punch with some high winds, possibility of some hail as well.
All right. A lot to keep an eye on today for sure.
Be one of those busy weeks.
All right.
You've got the news on what started this entire busy week out to the west of us.
That's right. Thanks, Michael. Multiple tornadoes pounded Kansas on Friday night, prompting the state's governor to declare a state of disaster emergency. You're looking at damage from one of the twisters that ripped through Andover, Kansas. Survivors of that tornado are now beginning to pick up the pieces after that powerful storm. No one was killed, and so far we're only hearing about minor injuries, but dozens of buildings have been damaged. The storm started out as a small rope tornado when it touched down in the Wichita suburb, but grew into a large cone as it gained momentum. Some staff and members of the Andover YMCA took shelter there. The building took a direct hit. YMCA officials say they're thankful no one inside was hurt. Oklahoma, on the other hand, did suffer fatalities during Friday's storms. 3 meteorology students were killed Friday night in Kay County, Oklahoma, while they were storm chasing. 20-year-old Nicholas Nair, 20-year-old Gavin Short, and 22-year-old Drake Brooks were students at the University of Oklahoma School of Meteorology. At some point, the SUV they were in hydroplaned on Interstate 35 and became disabled before being hit by a semi-truck.
They were a huge part of my life. I spent the majority of my time here with them. Every single day I would see them, whether that be in class or hanging out at their apartment, or they're the people who I spent my time with, and now they're gone.
Nair was a part of OU Nightly, a newscast produced by students at the University of Oklahoma. The driver of the semi-truck was treated and released from a hospital. Well, gusty winds on Friday fanned this house fire in Loma Linda, Missouri, just outside of Joplin. Firefighters from Joplin, Quapaw, Reddings Mill, and Galena all responded. Part of the roof collapsed, but no injuries were reported. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly pledges to sign the bipartisan Axing the Food Tax bill. House lawmakers late Thursday night nearly unanimously voted in favor of the measure, which would phase out the state's 6.5% sales tax on food over 3 years. The Senate approved the measure on Wednesday. When signed, the tax would first drop to 4% in January, and then it will fall by 2% every year until it hits 0 in 2025. Well, staying in Kansas, Republican lawmakers approve a measure to prohibit the state or its cities, counties, or school districts from imposing mask mandates. Lawmakers supporting the measure argued the pandemic showed the need to protect people's personal liberties. Critics said the restrictions would make it harder to check the spread of dangerous new diseases or even familiar ones like measles. Governor Kelly has not said what she'll do with this bill, but it fell far short of the 2/3 majority necessary in both chambers to override a veto. The divided Missouri Senate narrowly votes to allow some food stamp recipients to use their benefits at restaurants. The bill extends the restaurant option to an estimated 182,000 households with elderly, disabled, and homeless residents enrolled in SNAP. Missouri's Republican Senate leaders joined Democrats to pass the bill, though most Republicans voted against it. The legislation now advances to the House. Well, some tired parents and kids rolled back into Carl Junction on Sunday with a new title. They left for Utah to participate in the Western National Championship. The kids came back as national archery champions. Individuals placed first, second, and fifth in 3D. One individual placed fourth in bullseye. The team won the National Western Championship for 3D in the elementary category, and the team won runner-up in bullseye in the elementary category. Carl Junction Police led the bus and its entourage through the town, while the fire department announced their arrival with continuous blast of the horn. The community greeted the team with banners, signs, and cheers when the bus finally pulled into the Carl Junction High School to celebrate their homegrown victory. Congrats to them. Well, if you've ever found a strange blemish on your skin, you might want to get it looked at. Not only is May National Melanoma Month, but today is Melanoma Monday. The American Academy of Dermatology has set aside this day to raise awareness about skin cancer. Melanoma is the deadliest type of skin cancers. The observance focuses on skin health, sun safety, tanning prevention, and skin cancer screenings. By providing resources and information, it's hoped to reduce the number of melanoma diagnosed. Coming up in just a little bit later in Healthwatch, we're going to talk more about the importance of Melanoma Monday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast.
Heavy rain coming down, especially right on the state line right there in the western portion of southeast Kansas, drop down into northeast Oklahoma and Delaware County, kind of in the thick of it as well. Everything moving from west to east. Most of the lightning in the far southern portion of the 4 states. We've got about an inch and a half of accumulation. And then we get ready for tonight. Tonight's thunderstorm activity going to bring us additional bouts of lightning, heavy rain, and high winds.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, bringing awareness to skin cancer.
It's Melanoma Monday, a reminder to get checked. I'm Dina Demetrius with Dermatologist's Advice.
Plus, the Gorillas look to unleash their bats against a visiting Newman team. We've got the highlights coming up in sports, and we'll take you to a high school that has double the reason for celebrating their upcoming graduation. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pitt State Gorillas took the field for their final game of the regular season. And before that focus turns to the MIAA tournament, and Pitt State getting it done offensively for sure, 13-2. Caleb Carr, 4 for 6 at the plate, 2 RBIs. Cruz Aranda, he adds 4 runs batted in and scores 2 runs. PSU has now won 6 of their last 7 games, finished the regular season with a 22-11 conference record. Missouri Southern hosting Western, aiming to ramp up the regular season on a high note. Lines up by 1 in the 5th, Matt Miller in the right field for a double. Here comes Jordan Fitzpatrick. Next inning, Southern starting to pull away. Fitzpatrick lines 1 into right. Not 1, but 2 runs come in on that single. And then Fitzpatrick says, I'm going to take second. And then Drew Davis says, I'm going to steal home. Still going, Nate Miskowski into the gapper. 4 hits for Miskowski on the day. That one scores Fitzpatrick. 2 outs when Ryan Doran puts it deep in the left field corner. Lions score 6 runs in the 6th. win the series, rolling by Western 13-5. That means the bracket is set for the MIAA Baseball Championship. Pitt State has earned the 3-seed and home field advantage. And guess what? They're going to host Missouri Southern. Best of 3 series in the opening round. Not too bad for both schools, seeing as how you don't have to travel for that first round. When I say travel, you know what I mean. Essentially, Missouri Southern is making a trip down the road. Here's a little history. These two teams opened their conference schedules against one another way back in February, where the Gorillas won 2 out of 3. Game 1 set for Friday, first pitch, 6 p.m. Missouri Southern softball has some big momentum headed into a doubleheader. Lions coming off a sweep against Newman, including a walk-off finish on Saturday. Taking on 4th-ranked Central Oklahoma. Now the Lions fall in Game 1, 6-1. So let's go to Game 2 as Southern tries to get a split out of this. Down by 2 in the 4th. Kara Amos. Grounder through the gap. That gets the rally started. Josie Toffey floats one into center. That means we've got 2 on for Kristen Wade. Right back at you. Right up the middle, here comes Janelle Lundeen, who is pinch running. Now, I call Lundeen out at home, so the Central Oak keeps the Lions off the board. 7th inning, Brighton Gilbert browns out, but the Broncos able to notch one off the throwing error, and Central Oklahoma takes Game 2. Final score, 4-0. Lions do have more softball to play. They've earned the 6th seed in the MIAA tournament. It's a double elimination bracket, and Southern is going to play its first game against number 3 seeded Rogers State. That first pitch is Wednesday at 4 p.m. PSU softball returning to action, hosting Newman. Game 1, Paxton Hayes, picking up right where she left off on Saturday. 2-run home run for Hayes. Gorillas own the board first. Later, we got 1 on for Kendall Davis. Davis going to yank one left field. Just like that, Pitt State's up 4-0. In the 5th, Taylor Lambert grounds out. That's good enough, though, to score Davis. Kiana Pellegrino also homers. Pitt State dominates Game 1, 8-0. And then they keep it going in Game 2. Complete the sweep, win it 9-4. Pellegrino with her 2nd home run of the day. 3-run shot. Gabby Schultz had a home run, and Madison Szymanski, she had 2 runs driven in. St. Louis Cardinals looking to earn a split against the Diamondbacks. It is Arizona that strikes first. Jordan Luplow, solo home run. Then in the 7th, Luplow does it again. His 2nd home run of the game, and the Diamondbacks' 4th of the game. Pick it up when it's 5-3 Arizona. Bottom half of the inning, Harrison Bader. He will find his 1st home run of the year, and good timing as well, because that's going to give the Cardinals a late lead and set it up for Nolan Arenado. Arenado says, I want in on this slugfest as well. St. Louis puts up 4 in the 7th inning. That is good enough to pull it off. We'll let Nolan's ball get over the fence here before we give you the final. For you, 7-5 Cardinals. Kansas City at home hosting a very hot New York Yankees team. Michael Taylor ties up Michael A. Taylor, what you should call him. Michael A. Taylor ties the game up in the 3rd. Solo shot to right, his 2nd of the season. Then Carlos Santana sighting, rips it down the line. 2-out double scores Andrew Benintendi. Royals take a 3-1 lead, but with the way the Yanks are playing, I don't know if anybody can beat them right now. Aaron Judge, his 2nd home run of the day. 6-4 New York. Last chance for the Royals, 2 on and 2 out. Benintendi grounds out the first. Yankees have now won 9 straight. Get the final over the Royals after this 3-game sweep, 6-4. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, protests turned violent on the streets of Paris during a May Day celebration over the weekend. And a check on our 7-day forecast with the KOAM Morning News returns. We are thunderstorm laden on this Monday morning. I said live look outside of Television City there. It had an occasional strike that was coming down. And then if we look at this, I was hoping we could just pick one up there. Live television at its finest, right? All about timing. Heavy rain right now stretching from northwest Arkansas, then up through Delaware County, right along the Kansas-Missouri state line, and then up on the western portion of southeast Kansas, even where it's dry in your area. If you turn off to the west and to the south, chances are you're going to see some flickers of lightning, because it's been rather impressive farther, especially when you get farther down to the south. Now, that's just the last 5 minutes. If we were to go back and say, oh, how about the last 15 minutes? Look at all that. And it stretches all the way down just about to the Red River as well, just dominating that southern portion right there. But even where we don't have the lightning, we still have the very, very heavy rain that's moving in, everything from west to east. Give you an idea, kind of regionally speaking, you can tell where it formulates right along that dry line right there. And sure enough, out of the corner of my eye, I was looking at camera video, the one we just left, and it lighting up, of course, right now. We also have flood watches in effect for our counties in green, stretching for the rest of the day, and a determining factor of that is going to be how much rain we end up with. This 1.5 to 2 inches of rain on top of course, what we already had for yesterday. And so as we transition over to the Skycam, there we go, out there in the distance, right along the horizon right there. That's from 7th and Rangeline in Joplin, our film noir camera, if you will, turned down to the south-southwest, where it's 57 degrees right now. We haven't picked up any rain over the intersection as of yet. All right, even where we're rolling the rain, we've still got 60s hanging on in Neodesha and Chanute. Transition into southwest Missouri, 57 in both Joplin and in Carthage. Let's go 55 in Miami. This is kind of the big one as far as the contiguous 48 goes. Not just the one we're mired in, but we mentioned it went down to the Red River. And then it actually stretches all the way up into portions of Nebraska. So it's a little bit widespread as far as our day planner for today. Highs in the high 60s, but the rain just sticking around all day long. And even though we'll get dry spells every now and then, be right back at it for tonight with some legitimate thunderstorm activity as well. So after the big one rolls through here, then we get, like I said, there are times where it's going to be dry, but look at this one that formulates tonight. That's one of those sideways diagonal ones, and it sounds counterintuitive, but the more we can keep our spotty rain for the afternoon and evening hours, that'll calm down our intensity of this one overnight. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if we can. The drier we get, it will actually be the problem. So yeah, like I said, what we want to do is hold on to the spotty afternoon showers, because that'll slow down the intensity of that one rolling through tonight. Turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. There's a Texas high school thinks it's setting a world record with 2022 graduates. There's an incredible 35 set of twins among the graduating seniors. Oh, by the way, there's a set of triplets. Nick Starling with the story.
You aren't seeing double, just dozens of Mansfield ISD seniors who happen to be twins.
I'm surprised how many twins showed up.
To document this unique and special moment,
Photo and video. Vash is going to be right up there. He's the guy in the suit.
this twin and triplet class of 2022 gathered on this football field, many with their caps and gowns to take pictures. Their parents also capturing this memory.
I mean, it's really amazing. We're really blessed.
Stella Robertson's kids are Anthony and Angela.
It's great being a twin. You know, we don't necessarily look alike, but that bond is still there just as much as any of the twins here.
After graduation, they're separating. Angela to Yale University and Anthony to the University of Houston.
It would definitely be a change because we're not going to be together like we've always been, but you know, you can always still call each other, text each other.
Other twins like Avery and Keaton Slimak want to stay together, attending the University of Texas, and will be roommates.
We're pretty much best friends. We do everything together and we get along really well, so excited to stay together.
Being identical twins, the sisters admit, can present some challenges.
It can be confusing for people, definitely. I've gotten pretty used to being called by her name.
Looking alike can also be fun.
It's fun to pull pranks on people too. Yeah. We've switched classes plenty of times.
It's a bittersweet moment for many of these twins, as they'll soon make the transition from high school to whatever comes next.
Just knowing that it's almost over is exciting, but it's also kind of sad to leave that away.
Old Mansfield is a pretty big place, 2,600 students in the student body. Twins occur in about 1 in every 250 births, so there would normally be about 10 or 11 pairs in a student body that size. Instead, 3 times that many, making the class of 2022 twice as easy, I guess, to remember. Hopefully for their good behavior. Our question is, any twins in your family? We'll make that extended family. It doesn't have to be immediate. Any twins in your extended family? Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or connect to us via our Facebook page. We'll be back with Healthwatch next.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, Melanoma Monday is a day to raise awareness for the most serious form of skin cancer. Melanoma is one of the most common cancers found in young adults, especially young women. Dina Demetrius has one woman's story and her message to others.
Leah Adams says her life forever changed after being diagnosed with melanoma 2.5 years ago. She was 26.
I was embarrassed because I felt like I gave myself cancer, because I thought about all the times I should have worn sunscreen. I shouldn't have gone in a tanning bed.
As her dad was battling melanoma, her family urged her to get a suspicious mole checked.
It was starting to become black in the middle, uneven borders, edges, and there was a red ring.
Tanning beds are high risk behavior for melanoma and skin cancers. So even one trip to a tanning bed increases your risk of melanoma.
Dr. Melissa Piliong is a Cleveland Clinic dermatologist. The American Academy of Dermatology urges everyone to do regular skin checks. Follow the ABCDE rule: asymmetry, irregular border, varying color, diameter, melanomas are usually more than 6 millimeters, and evolving.
They may have symptoms suddenly like they itch or hurt.
Leah had surgery to remove her melanoma and some lymph nodes to see if the cancer had spread. Luckily, it was caught early.
I realized that I can just keep living a life of my pity party, or I can take what happened to me and share it with others and see if it resonates with someone else that may have had skin cancer or maybe putting off a skin check.
Her message for young women:
if you want to look tan or have a glow, there are so many great options with spray tans or self tanners, and it's way safer than going out in the sun.
She needs skin checks every 3 months and makes sure to protect herself outdoors. Dina Demetrius, CBS News.
Well, 3 out of every 1,000 people in the U.S. have died of COVID since the start of the pandemic. Now, the U.S. has a total population of about 330 million people. Over the last 2 years, more than 993,000 have died from COVID. COVID has been especially deadly for people ages 65 and up. About 3/4 of all COVID deaths have been in that age group. And overall, about 12 out of every 1,000 seniors in the U.S. have died from COVID. That's according to CDC data. COVID has been the 3rd leading cause of death in the U.S. in both 2020 and 2021. COVID-19 vaccines might be available for children under 5 years old by this summer. The Food and Drug Administration announced it's reserving 3 dates in June for its Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee to meet with Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech. The FDA says it will consider authorization for younger children shortly afterwards. So far, no COVID-19 vaccines are authorized for anyone under the age of 5, which breaks down to about 18 million children. On Thursday, Moderna officials say they are seeking emergency use authorization from the FDA for its vaccine for children between the ages of 6 months old and 5 years. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, the town of Andover picks up the pieces after multiple tornadoes tear through Kansas.
One round of thunderstorms on us for the morning, and we got another one headed our way tonight. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Carl Junction takes aim at a national archery championship.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:33. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip. We've got storms brewing.
While our Monday morning thunderstorm activity is not going to be anything severe, we do have enough water soaking our soil that flood watches are already in effect. Majority of the lightning staying down to the south, rolling through Delaware County into Benton County and northwest Arkansas. Heavy rain along with that right along the state line for Kansas and Oklahoma, and moving into just about all-encompassing for all of western southeast Kansas right now as it continues to push to the east. As far as those flood warnings go, right-hand portion of your screen, and you'll notice the time period on these all the way until tomorrow morning, because not only are we going to pick up an additional, say 3/4 of an inch with this morning's rain, but then we'll get more overnight, probably another 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch with that. Temperatures, that's pretty mild outside. We haven't seen any cold front whip in on the backside of the storms. It will be able to hang in the mid-60s today, maybe scrape a 70 every now and then, but you notice on those panels how the rain and the lightning sticks around for the next 24 hours, essentially. So what we've got here is tonight, we got a big line that forms up to the northwest, and this is legitimate right here. Once that gets going, that's thunder, lightning, heavy, heavy rain. Now, here's the key factor. The key factor is, say, from noon to 2, because if we can keep spotty showers, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That'll lessen tonight's intensity. If we dry off a whole lot and we don't get much action this afternoon, that increases the intensity of what we'll see overnight. And after we're done with that one tonight, Tanya, dry Tuesday, a little bit cooler, and then we warm back up with some additional thunderstorms on Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, looks like we've got 2 big batches coming through then throughout the day.
And we just, like I say, let's hope it stays spotty during the afternoon.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, multiple tornadoes pounded Kansas on Friday night, prompting the state's governor to declare a state of disaster emergency. You're looking at damage from one of the twisters that ripped through Andover, Kansas. Survivors of that tornado now are beginning to pick up the pieces after that powerful storm. No one was killed, and so far we're only hearing about minor injuries, but dozens of buildings have been damaged. The storm started out as a small rope tornado when it touched down in the Wichita suburb, but grew into a large cone as it gained momentum. Some staff and members of the Andover YMCA took shelter there, and the building took a direct hit. YMCA officials say they're thankful no one inside was hurt. A Miami, Oklahoma 4-year-old gets ready for a special trip to Disney World. Mason McGuire has been battling leukemia since he was 3 years old and has always wanted to go to Disney World. So Miami high school students put on fundraisers for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. With the help of the community, they raised more than $10,000 to help make Mason's wish come true.
Being able to help other kids is just really big on my heart, and so Make-A-Wish has kind of stolen my heart away, and I definitely hope to work with them in the future.
This is the 3rd year Make-A-Wish has worked with Miami High School. Well, some tired parents and kids rolled back into Carl Junction on Sunday with a new title. They left for Utah to participate in the Western National Championship, and the kids came back as national archery champions. Individuals placed 1st, 2nd, and 5th in the 3D archery division. One individual placed 4th in bullseye. The team won the National Western Championship for 3D in the elementary category, and the team won runner-up in bullseye in the elementary category. Carl Junction Police led the bus and its entourage through the town while the fire department announced its arrival with continuous blast of the horn. Community greeted the team with banners, signs, and cheers when the bus finally pulled into the Carl Junction High School to celebrate their homegrown victory.
Here's what we're looking at radar-wise. Not going to let up on us either. An additional 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of rain. Fair amount of lightning with it, especially down to the south. The lightning is on that band right there, just stretching to the south of Nevada, down through Jay, into Bentonville, and then our next batch of heavy rain coming right now along the state line from Independence, say about down to Nevada, as it moves from west to east. Temperatures in the 50s, mid-50s for the most part right now. But remember, it's going to be wet all day long.
Well, this morning we are discussing twins. Welcome to Mansfield High School in North Texas. It believes it's setting a world record with its 2022 graduating class. Turns out they've got, look at this, 35 sets of twins among the graduating seniors. And if that wasn't enough, also 1 set of triplets. Mansfield High School has 2,600 students in its student body, and with twins occurring in about 1 in 250 births, there'd normally be about 10 or 11 pairs in a student body this size. Instead, we've got 3 times that many.
Our question for you this morning, do you have twins in your family? And I kind of consider that extended family. It doesn't have to be immediate family. 73% say yes, they do.
Do you have twins in your family?
Do indeed. I have a niece and a nephew, Zach and Zoe. My sister's kids, they are twins.
I have cousins.
And then I've got them on my cousin's side as well. We've got, my family's a little bit of a twin factory.
Nice. I've got twins on my mom's side, cousins, Lindsay McKenzie. Yep.
I think if you, like I said, if you extend this into extended family, I guess the numbers, and these are preliminary numbers, but yeah, I mean, I think you'd be probably surprised about how many people actually have twins in their family.
It's pretty cool. All right, thanks, Michael. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the United Nations successfully evacuates about 100 people from Mariupol over the weekend. They say more will come today. Plus, Pittsburgh hosts an art showcase for local talent. Our own Bronte Swarovski takes a closer look at Art Walk and how it benefits the community. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, a May Day rally in Paris took a tense turn as protesters used the traditional Labor Day marches as an opportunity to show newly re-elected President Emmanuel Macron the opposition he could face during his second five-year term. Demonstrators smashed windows at banks and a fast food restaurant, ripped up street signs, and burned barricades in the street. Police officers responded, firing rounds of tear gas. May Day is often a time of high emotion for members of trade unions and other workers, but over the past 2 years, pandemic restrictions have limited demonstrations. This year, about 250 marches and protests were held around France. Demonstrators are pressuring Macron to come up with policies that put people first. They're condemning his plan to raise France's retirement age from 62 to 65. Ukrainian officials say evacuations from Mariupol will continue today after the United Nations successfully pulled about 100 people out of the city this weekend. A handful of U.S. lawmakers visited Kyiv on Sunday, vowing to continue supporting the country against Russia's invasion. Ian Lee has the latest from London.
After weeks in hiding, this Ukrainian woman who took shelter in Mariupol's massive steel plant expressed relief. She's one of dozens evacuated by the United Nations from the besieged port city over the weekend amid Russia's brutal invasion. When the shells started landing, she says, I thought my heart would stop and I would not survive. The relentless bombardment by Russian forces impeded previous attempts to get residents out of the city. But the attacks continue in the north and south. Russia's defense ministry confirmed this missile strike on an airfield near Odessa.
Nice to meet you.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other members of Congress visited the capital city of Kyiv yesterday and told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that U.S. support will not waver.
The fight is a fight for everyone, and so our commitment is to be there for you until the fight is done.
Back in the U.S., President Biden wants Congress to authorize a $33 billion aid package for Ukraine, but it could face difficulties passing if lawmakers try to link it with new COVID spending.
We need COVID aid. We need Ukraine aid. We should do them together or separately, but we shouldn't wait around.
Democrats want the Ukraine deal approved by Memorial Day weekend. Ian Lee, CBS News.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers, including Utah Senator Mitt Romney, negotiated a $10 billion package for COVID relief. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Gusty winds on Friday fanned this house fire in Loma Linda, Missouri, just outside of Joplin. Firefighters from Joplin, Quapaw, Reddings Mill, and Galena all responded. Part of the roof collapsed, but no injuries were reported. Divided Missouri Senate narrowly votes to allow some food stamp recipients to use their benefits at restaurants. Bill extends the restaurant option to an estimated 182,000 households with elderly, disabled, and homeless residents enrolled in SNAP. Missouri's Republican Senate leaders joined Democrats to pass the bill, though most Republicans voted against it. Legislation now advances to the House. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly pledges to sign the bipartisan Axing the Food Tax bill. House lawmakers late Thursday night nearly voted unanimously in favor of the measure, which would phase out the state's 6.5% sales tax on food over 3 years. The Senate approved the measure on Wednesday. When signed, the tax would first drop to 4% in January, and then it will fall by 2% every year until it hits 0 in 2025. And Republican lawmakers in Kansas approve a measure to prohibit the state or its cities, counties, or school districts from imposing mask mandates. Lawmakers supporting the measure argued the pandemic showed the need to protect people's personal liberties. Critics said the restrictions would make it harder to check the spread of dangerous new diseases or even familiar ones like measles. Governor Kelly has not said what she'll do with this bill, but it fell far short of the 2/3 majority necessary in both chambers to override a veto. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Focus in on 7th and Rangeline. We're so far stayed on the dry side for anybody commuting in and out of the Joplin area. 57 degrees is where we stand right now. I just say we so far being the key phrase right there, because rain is on the way, especially when we talk about what we're seeing down in northeast Oklahoma and right in the midst of Delaware County in between Grove and Jay with the heavy rain. Let's go ahead and remove the cloud cover. Always gives us a better look when we do that. And then we've got another batch rolling along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line. It's packing a pretty good punch. You get into the green, that's just shower activity, but now it's encompassing most of southeast Kansas on a north-south band. So those of you in that Chanute, Iola area, that's going to have a little bit of an uptick, and then we'll ride along Highway 400 through Parsons and head toward Pittsburgh and Joplin, right in the middle of the map. We also have flood watches already in effect. You've got to remember, we had portions down there in between 49 and 44 that picked up, 3.5, 4 inches last week, and now we've got additional rainfall. So this is going to last all the way until 7 o'clock tomorrow, 7 a.m. on Tuesday. And because imagine today being one of those multi-round affairs. We've got this heavy one that's working in through this morning, but then on the backside of it, we're going to have additional thunderstorms for tonight into tomorrow. There's a look at our temperatures. Luckily, it's not followed by any type of massive cold front. That's going to stay up really in northern Kansas is where we'll see the big temperature drop. Ours are pretty tame right now. We do have a 51. That's as low as we have up in Stockton, but then we have more 60s than we actually do have low 50s right now. As far as our rain goes, we'll break into, instead of the thunderstorms, once those pass through about the noon hour, then we kind of break into scattered shower activity. Not a whole lot of thunder and lightning with that until we get to tonight. Look at that one formulating out there on the west. You can also, that's that temperature drop I was talking about when you get on the west side of Wichita. Massive temperature drop for them. The cold front holds short, but this right here, as this stretches out, that's going to be rather impressive as far as wind and even the possibility of hail. That is precisely why when we open up the severe thunderstorm risk map, we find ourselves with that elevated category running, encompassing in some portion all 4 of our states. And you can tell when that thing generates out there in Oklahoma, that's where it's going to chew up the most energy and get on a roll. It'll kind of be able to break up a little bit as it moves through us and down to the southeast. Cooler tomorrow, but at least it will be dry. Then we're back into the 70s Wednesday, Thursday, but chances for thunderstorms also emerge before we get to the end of the work week. Be back with more KOAM morning news for you right after this.
Downtown Pittsburgh is highlighting local talent with a festival showcasing their work in a way that gives back to Kansas artists. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more on the Pittsburgh Art Walk and how it helps artists continue to make an impact on the community.
If artists in Southeast Kansas had a Super Bowl, it would look like the Pittsburgh Art Walk.
I think every community should celebrate art because it's an important part of just the community.
And art is so important in Pittsburgh that the city hosted an event similar to a festival for artists to share their work with the community, something they aren't always given the chance to do.
This is kind of our Super Bowl. So we're allowing them to come out and sell their work and get to know the community and have people come up and they can buy their artwork or just get to know the artist.
For artists like Miranda Ballou, she knows firsthand the importance of having a creative outlet.
Because it's a form of expression, it's a way for people to express themselves, and it's just a good outlet for people.
Ballou, who makes handmade jewelry, says it was her own mother who inspired her to get involved in art in the first place.
My mom actually started it years ago, and so she kind of showed me how to start my jewelry making.
Krista Cunningham, president of the Pittsburgh Art Walk, says she wanted to hand the spotlight to talented artists in the community who don't always get that recognition.
Art invokes emotion, and it also demonstrates, or it just showcases talent, is what it does. There's so many talented people in this community, and they don't often get a chance to share that with others. And so allowing that to happen in our area is and create this event that is just fine arts focused, it just brings all sorts of awareness to the area and offers perspective.
And with a wide variety of art ranging from live music to jewelry, there was something there for everyone. In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
This is the first art walk of the year for Pittsburgh. The next one will be in September. Hopefully it won't be as windy that time around. We'll be back with another look at your forecast after this.
Rain pretty much spread throughout all of northeast Oklahoma, stretches then north right across the state line into Kansas. Now also making its way into McDonald County, just about to hit I-49 down there in Matco, and then it stretches down into Benton County in northwest Arkansas as well. Our temperatures right now in between low 50s and we've got a couple 60s even sitting out there. Remember, this is round one. It's going to be a multifaceted day. We've got another batch headed our way this evening, and we're going to break that down on Future Track and take a look at our severe thunderstorm risk map when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Coming up, after devastating tornadoes rip through Andover, the town is left figuring out what to do next.
And we are in the midst of severe weather season, a stormy Monday, putting us in the elevated category on the severe thunderstorm risk map. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch website.
And Carl Junction students bring home a national archery championship title.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go right to Michael Hayslip with a look at the forecast.
And we've already got thunderstorms in effect, Tanya, as we look over 7th and Rangeline, where it stayed dry for the time being. That's going to change here. As we approach the 7 o'clock hour, majority of the hard rain dominating northeast Oklahoma and making its way into McDonald County and southwest Missouri as well. Delaware County's already picked up 3/4 of an inch in spots. Transition up to the north of that one that's rolling in between Grove and Jay. And then we see very hard rain along the Kansas and Oklahoma state line as well. Overcast skies for just about everybody. You get a little peek of the sun as it creeps over the horizon here in the next 20 minutes. But don't expect a whole lot of sunshine today. We also have flood watches throughout southwest Missouri indicated there in the green. Those lasting all the way up until 7 a.m. tomorrow. An idea that it goes back to last week when we got 3.5, 4 inches in between I-49 and I-44. And they're going to pick up another 2 to 3 inches here by the time we get to tomorrow. Now this one that's rolling through, this will drop about anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. And then we'll be back with more tonight. Our temperatures today will go high 60s, but you notice on each one of those panels that rain sticks around after we get rid of the first one today. Sporadic showers for the afternoon are going to help us. It's the drier we get, the more intense this one tonight's going to be. So if we can actually stay with spotty showers, we'll get a little bit luckier tonight. But tonight's still going to bring us hard rain and high winds when you get something organized of that nature. As this carries through, it'll last up until early Tuesday morning. After that, we back off. Tuesday should stay dry, partly sunny skies and mild. Then even though we got warmer temps there Wednesday and Thursday, we also bring back those shots of rain.
All right. Okay, rain every other day, it looks
So
like.
remember that spotty rain today is a good thing for tonight.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Well, multiple tornadoes touched down in Kansas Friday night, prompting the state's governor to declare a state of disaster emergency. This is damage from one of the twisters that ripped through Andover, Kansas on Friday night. Survivors of the tornado in Andover are picking up the pieces after that powerful storm. No one was killed, and so far we're only hearing about minor injuries, but dozens of buildings have been damaged. The storm started out as a small rope tornado when it touched down in the Wichita suburb, but grew into a large cone as it gained momentum. Some staff and members of the Andover YMCA took shelter there, and the building took a direct hit. YMCA officials say they're thankful no one inside was hurt. A second suspect is charged in a Newton County murder case. Authorities say 64-year-old Eddie Fisher helped his son Damian Fisher hide the body of Scotty Roller. Police say Damian Fisher shot and killed Roller after an argument over the purchase of a vehicle. Eddie Fisher then helped Damian wrap Roller's body in a rug and dump it down a well on Eddie's property near Seneca. Eddie Fisher is charged in Jasper County with tampering with physical evidence. Damian is charged in Newton County with second-degree murder and armed criminal action. Gusty winds on Friday fanned this house fire in Loma Linda, Missouri, just outside of Joplin. Firefighters from Joplin, Quapaw, Reddings Mill, and Galena all responded. Part of the roof collapsed. No injuries were reported. Well, Sunday afternoon, some tired parents and kids rolled back into Carl Junction. They left for Utah to participate in the Western National Championship, and the kids came back as national archery champions. The individuals placed first, second, and fifth in the 3D archery division, and one individual even placed fourth in bullseye. Team won National Western Championship for 3D in the elementary category and won runner-up. Another team won runner-up, also known as second, in bullseye in the elementary category. Their coach, Coach Fredrickson, was very proud of them and was touched by the community support. Carl Junction Police led the bus and its growing entourage through town while the fire department announced their arrival with continuous blast on their horn. From edible bugs to a dinosaur theme park to a game that defies explanation, Rick Damigella has the latest video game releases.
Amazing, aren't they? Half bug, half snack.
Yes, you heard that right. These adorable strawberry bugs are part of the world of bug snacks.
Oh, this one's lively. Beautiful seed patterns.
And they are on the menu as well. The game lets players seek out the 100 species of bug snacks which inhabit an island. Previously playable on PC and PlayStation, gamers can now get their fill of bug snacks on Xbox, Steam, and Switch. Here's an idea. Let's build a dinosaur theme park where the attractions don't eat the guests. Taking care of the dinos and the guests is the point of Parkasaurus. Formerly a PC exclusive, gamers can now build their own Mesozoic amusement park portably on the Nintendo Switch.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
And that's really all we can tell you about the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, because it's a game where the less you know about it, the more you'll get out of it. What we can say is it originated as a Half-Life 2 mod in 2011, was nominated for 4 BAFTA awards in 2014, and is now available in its new Ultra Deluxe form for Steam, Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. Leveling Up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Ooh. Well, today back in 1957, Senator Joseph McCarthy passes away. The Republican senator from Wisconsin, who was infamously known for the anti-communist hysterica, also known as the Red Scare, passed away from an illness exacerbated by alcoholism at the age of 48. The Red Scare engulfed the United States in the years following World War II. McCarthy's Senate career was unremarkable, and desperate for re-election, he took his advisor's suggestion and turned to the issue of communists in the United States. Despite not knowing much about the issue, he quickly embraced it. February of 1950 announced to a stunned audience there was over 200 known communists in the Department of State. Over the next 4 years, McCarthy became the most famous and feared red hunter in the United States, possibly ruining careers, silencing opponents, and titillating the American public with his accusations of communism.
When you have facts, you pound the facts. If you don't have facts, you pound the table. Or shake a piece of paper and claim you've got a list of 205 people.
The Red Scare. Da da da.
Skywatch storm tracker with thunderstorm activity this morning, dominating the southern portion of the 4 states. We haven't seen a whole lot of easterly push to this. It's actually had a good southeasterly drop into McDonald and Benton counties. That's also, too, where the lightning has remained. Now remember, this is round 1. We've got another one headed our way for tonight. That one is going to have additional very hard rain as well as some 40 to 45 mile an hour wind gusts.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a hidden gem in southeast Kansas reveals its treasures to us right here on the morning show. Plus, Route 66 hits a milestone over the weekend. We'll explain. And new evidence reveals more about autism in the womb. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, a New York teacher is placed on leave after reportedly using cotton to teach a class lesson on slavery. Well, parents in the Rochester School District allege that teacher Patrick Roche made his 7th grade students pick seeds out of cotton. According to the parents, Roche let white students opt out of the exercise but forced the black students to participate. Roche is alleged to have used the cotton exercise in other classes. School district is now being asked to revoke his teaching license. Roche, who is white, has no comment on the allegations, but he will remain on leave as the school district investigates. Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams spent Saturday campaigning in Savannah. Joined by Savannah Mayor Van Johnson, Abrams touted her plans to lower the cost of health care, create jobs, and fully fund education. Republicans have generated the most media attention in their primary for governor. That's because former President Trump is going against incumbent Brian Kemp by backing former Senator David Perdue. Abrams is the clear favorite on the Democratic side, also heavily favored to face Governor Kemp in a rematch this fall. Well, it has inspired songs and road trips for decades, and now the famed Route 66 celebrates a milestone on Saturday, which marked 96 years. The name US 66 was proposed for a cross-country route connecting Chicago, Illinois, and Santa Monica, California. When it was built, the highway made cross-country travel affordable for many Americans and helped boost the economies of the cities it passed through. Route 66 is known for its retro diners, odd hotels, and breathtaking scenery, and is a bucket list drive for fans around the world. Technically, Route 66 doesn't exist anymore since interstates replaced it, but parts have been classified as a National Scenic Byway with the name Historic Route 66 for your motoring pleasure. You know this all too well here in the 4 states. That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Special guest in our studio, Larry Spahn. Larry, thank you very much for your time, sir. Larry, give me words of wisdom during the commercial break. Words to live by, words that I greatly appreciate. Larry's here representing the Heart of the Heartlands Railroad Club because coming up here starts in just a matter of days. We have an organized group called the Big Kansas Road Trip, and we're going to find out more about that here later this week. But Larry, as far as the Heart of the Heartlands goes, when I was talking to the organizers of the Big Kansas Road Trip that runs from May 5th to the 8th, they talked about the different aspects of Cherokee, Bourbon, and Crawford County and what you can find there. All 3 of those counties have one thing in common, and that is a great history about the importance of railroads. If you could kind of maybe give people a general overview who drive over the tracks every day, but don't appreciate what it's done for our region, how would you describe that?
Well, the railroads built this area and the entire United States, you know, in 1870 when they completed the Continental Railroad and things started branching off, the country started growing, and it's still growing. I mean, there's a lot of railroads in this part of the country. If you look at a map of several years ago, it looks like a wheel with all the train tracks coming right into southeast Kansas.
Yeah, right here. It is the hub.
Yep.
And part of that hub is in Scammon, Kansas, where we have the Corona Depot and the Historic Railroad Museum. When it comes to preserving history, Larry, that's difficult, especially when we talk about railroad history. Railroad cars, railroad machinery in general, is large.
Yes.
It's not just an artifact that you can throw under a piece of glass and put in a museum. How has Heart of the Heartlands dedicated itself as an organization to making sure that we're able to view this equipment and still treasure what it means to our region?
Well, that's a lot of questions. I've got a lot of answers.
I'm here for them.
We've got a lot of real nice things to look at, and they're difficult to maintain and they're hard to move, like the 1023 locomotive that the city of Pittsburgh donated to us, and we restored it, and it's on display at the Corona Depot. But we have a lot of stuff, rolling stock. We've got several engines. We got a 1932 Plymouth, one of the first 5 that was ordered for the Missouri Pacific. We've got the first locomotive that Watco, the local railroad, that they have. It's on display out there. And there's a lot of railroading history. I mean, the Kansas City Southern, the Katy, the Frisco. There's so much that you can say. The railroads, they brought the immigrants into this area to mine the coal and the lead and zinc ore, and they took it back out as finished products and distributed them around the United States. And we still depend on railroads, but the railroads now, they're looking at, you know, unit trains, 200 cars of coal or wheat or whatever, and the short lines is going away, you know, the ones that used to serve all the small towns. But Watco, which is right here in Pittsburgh, they, you know, Dick Webb, he saw the need, and he was a real neat individual.
As far as your involvement with Heart of the Heartlands, why did you become a part of this organization, Heart of the Heartlands Railroad? What drove you? Why do you get enjoyment out of this, and why do you see the importance?
Well, number one, our son, John David, he was really into railroads. Myself, I got my first electric train and went around the Christmas tree. It's a long time ago, but I don't know, everybody you talk to that visits our museum has a relative somewhere in their family, be it a grandfather, great-grandfather, uncle, that worked for the railroad, you know, section hand, train service. The Kansas City Southern shops had 1,000 people working in Pittsburgh at one time. Katy, or the MK&T, they had large shops in Parsons, and they were huge employers.
So once again, you can find Larry and everything that he's talking about out of the Corona Depot and Railroad Museum. That's in Scammon, Kansas. And Larry, while we're associating this with the Big Kansas Road Trip, because it's starting on May the 5th and runs through the 8th, anybody can come out at just about any time. Kind of give us the ideas about when the museum is open and when we can come find you.
Well, we're going to be open specifically for that, I think from 10 till 5 on those days, and we'll have everything open and available. Our museum is really neat. There's a lot of nice stuff inside. We've had a large collection donated recently to our museum. Yeah, people are beginning to take us seriously, and we plan on being around for a while, so they're starting to get the stuff that's in the closet and grandpa's pocket watch, stuff like that. They're bringing them out, and we're preserving them.
So if anybody's interested, if they're watching this and they say, wow, I have a passion for this, but maybe I didn't know Heart of the Heartlands Railroad Club existed, how do we get a hold of you to become a part of it?
Well, we have a website, heartlandstrainclub.org, I believe is what it is, and that would give you some phone numbers, people to call, my number, other people's there that give you the information you need, or come out and see us.
I was just about to say, even better, maybe just stop by the museum.
That'd be the best way.
Larry, I tell you what, we got to go to break, but can I con you into sticking around and maybe telling me about the new donation and the new exhibit here?
I'd be fine. I'd be happy to.
Okay, we're going to bring Larry Spahn of the Heart of the Heartlands Railroad Club back and the Corona Depot and Railway Museum here in a little bit later, and we'll talk about that new collection and also kind of take a deeper dive into what railroads not only mean to the 4 states, we conquered that, but where we see them going throughout the United States. Larry, thank you very much. I'll see you back here in a little bit.
I'll be here.
We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Healthwatch this morning, a new study in the journal Pediatrics examines the benefits and risk of raising a vegetarian child. Researchers in Toronto found kids eating plant-based diets had similar measures of growth and nutrition compared to those who eat meat. Young people with a vegetarian diet were more likely to be underweight. The number of new cancer cases and cancer deaths in Canada is expected to rise this year due to a growing and aging population, but overall researchers say survival rates are up. That's thanks to cancer prevention, detection, and treatment efforts. Scientists in Japan may have new evidence that autism begins in the womb. They identified immune abnormalities in the brain and the gut of fetal mice who went on to develop the disorder. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, after devastating tornadoes rip through Andover, Kansas, the town is left figuring out what to do next.
Thunderstorm activity to start our Monday as it gets ready to move through the central portion of the 4 states. Oh, this is just round 1. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Carl Junction students bring home a national archery championship.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:27. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll have those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip with a look at the storms.
Yeah, I'm eyeballing here 7th and range line. Just turn the camera down to the south-southwest. Now, that portion of Joplin stays dry right now, but to give you an idea of why I was focusing that way, because that's where we're seeing very heavy rain. It's just the shower activity just about to move into Joplin, and that will be followed by, like I said, the old cat and dog variety that we're seeing right now in the southern portion of Cherokee County. That's moving right along the state line back through Labette County and then dipping into portions of Ottawa, Nowata, and Delaware County. Look at all the lightning that we're getting right along the Arkansas-Missouri state line. That we've seen the heaviest of the rains move now into the Pineville area and McDonald County. Of course, that area coming off of what they received last week. That is why we've got flood watches in effect, especially for the I-49, I-44 portion of southwest Missouri right there. Whoa, that was a good lightning strike over 7th and range line. Thank you very much. Flood watch until Tuesday morning. It does stretch to the north side of I-44 and now makes its way into northeast Oklahoma as well. So that's where we currently stand. Our temperatures up in between we've seen some low 50s up by Stockton, Nevada, and Fort Scott. Compare that to the 60s that we have in Neodesha and Parsons. And we'll eventually be, say high 60s. We'll scrape a 70 every now and then, even with the heavier cloud cover. I mentioned this is round 1 because we got round 2. We'll get a little spotty shower activity for the afternoon and watch this thing formulate for tonight. Works from northwest down to southeast. Additional heavy rainfall, high winds, even the possibility of some hail with that until it pushes off early Tuesday morning. Cooler on Tuesday, warmer on Wednesday and Thursday, and the reemergence of thunderstorms on Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, well, yeah. Got a little rain here and there.
Well, like I said, the nice thing is for this morning, it is thunderstorm activity. It is, however, not anything of the severe variety, and luckily nothing like what transpired over the weekend out to our west.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. Multiple tornadoes touched down in Kansas Friday night, prompting the state's governor to declare a state of disaster emergency. This is damage from one of the twisters that ripped through Andover, Kansas. Now, survivors of that tornado in Andover are picking up the pieces after Friday night's powerful storm. No one was killed, and so far we're only hearing about minor injuries, but dozens of buildings have been damaged. The storm started out as a small rope tornado when it touched down in the Wichita suburb, but grew into a large cone as it gained momentum. Some staff and members of the Andover YMCA took shelter there. The building took a direct hit. YMCA officials say they're thankful no one inside was hurt. Well, gusty winds on Friday fanned this house fire in Loma Linda, Missouri, just outside of Joplin. Firefighters from Joplin, Quapaw, Reddings Mill, and Galena all responded. Part of the roof collapsed, but no injuries were reported. Well, after tragedy struck the Joplin community in March, people from all over stepped in to help. And what happened in Joplin gained attention all over the county, including the attention of a 13-year-old boy in Florida. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky has more on the young boy who's running to raise money for the families of first responders hit by the devastation.
At only 13 years old, Zachariah Cartledge is already making a difference in the world, 1 mile at a time.
I started running a mile whenever a police officer or a firefighter passes away across the United States. I've been doing that ever since the start of 2019. And over time, as we've raised more money and became a nonprofit, we also give monthly $10,000 checks to injured first responders.
The Orlando resident runs for our first responder heroes who have fallen or were injured in the line of duty and was invited to Joplin's Guns and Hoses event. Before the event started, he ran a mile in honor of every fallen first responder in the Joplin area. Cartledge was inspired to do this at a young age.
I went to this specific 5K called the Tunnel to Towers 5K. They do 5Ks all across the nation for 9/11 first responders. I was inspired enough by that run to raise money for them during the 2018 year when I was about 9 years old. Knowing that we had all these donations in and knowing that I already raised so much for this one organization, I wanted to branch off and start my own organization.
Which is how Running for Heroes formed. Now, the nonprofit honors fallen heroes while Cartledge runs, carrying a flag in their honor. The 13-year-old balances his life as a kid, a good student, and a runner for heroes every month.
So on a weekday, usually I wake up, I do school like a normal kid, and then I have about 2 hours in between once I get home. Usually I do notes for the families I run for, and then that evening around 6 or 7 p.m. I go out and do 1 to 3 miles in honor of first responders. If there's not a need to run, then I don't have to run. And then obviously on the weekends, 2 out of 4 times on average every single month on the weekends, I will fly out and go to an amazing event like this.
Once he turns 18, Cartledge will legally become the founder of Running for Heroes and plans to pass on the responsibility of running to another eager young kid. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Hard to believe he's going to age out of this at 18. What a great kid. If anyone would like to donate, you can go to runningforheroes.org. We thank him so much. Well, after the Run for Heroes, the Joplin Police Department and the Joplin Fire Department squared up in a basketball match to benefit Joplin children. All proceeds from the Guns and Hoses match went towards Bright Futures Joplin. This year, all proceeds will be split with a scholarship that honors Corporal Ben Cooper and Officer Jake Reed. To Joplin High School students who plan to study criminal justice at Missouri Southern will be eligible.
It'll be a $1,000 scholarship each year, so we're hoping to raise enough money that we can keep it going for several years. And so all the proceeds from all the activities tonight, we have t-shirt sales, there's a silent auction, 50-50 raffle, half-court shot chances. All the proceeds from tonight will go towards splitting it between Bright Futures and those scholarships.
There were also 2 mayoral proclamations. July 26th will be Corporal Ben Cooper Day in the city of Joplin, and March 9th will be Officer Jake Reed Day in the city of Joplin. The Miracle Baseball League is in full swing after a 2-year stint away due to the pandemic. The league gives adults with special needs the opportunity to go out and compete in a baseball game. Each participant gets 2 turns at bat and multiple opportunities in the outfield.
It's great to be back because this is our first season in a couple years due to the pandemic. So last week was our first week, and seeing all the returning players and new players, the families and the smiles and the tears and the hugs, it's great.
The league season lasts 6 weeks. Well, Sunday afternoon saw some tired parents and kids roll back into Carl Junction. They had left for Utah to participate in the Western National Championship, and the kids came back as national archery champions. Individuals placed 1st, 2nd, and 5th in the 3D archery division, and one individual placed 4th in bullseye. The team won National Western Championship for 3D in the elementary category, and the team won runner-up in the bullseye in the elementary category. Their coach, Coach Fredrickson, was very proud of them and was touched by the community support. Carl Junction Police led the bus and its growing entourage through town while the fire department announced the arrival with continuous blasts on their horn. Well, today, back in 1972, J. Edgar Hoover passes away, ending a 5-decade era at the FBI. After nearly 5 decades as the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, more commonly known as the FBI, he passed away, leaving the agency without the administrator who had been largely responsible for its existence and shape. Originally educated as a lawyer and a librarian, Hoover joined the Department of Justice in 1917. Within 2 years, became the special assistant to Attorney General A. Mitchell Palmer. Deeply anti-radical in his ideology, Hoover came to the forefront of the federal law enforcement during the Red Scare of 1919 and 1920. He set up a card index system of every radical leader, organization, and publication in the United States, and by 1921 had amassed some 450,000 files. During this period, more than 10,000 suspected communists were arrested, but a majority of these people were briefly questioned and then let go. I feel like we have a communist theme in our
Yeah, we rolled McCarthy and Hoover on the same day.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I did not realize they attached in many other way, but did not realize that this date they were attached as well. Skywatch storm tracker, heavy rain moving from west to east, and it's on a northwest to southeast diagonal band. McDonald County bearing the brunt of it right now, just about ready to creep into Joplin. That's the one coming out of Cherokee County. And then that one that you see down in Miami and Ottawa County, about to make its way across the state line into Newton County. Rain gear morning, not looking at anything severe. We do have flood watches. To remember though, we're going to reload tonight and carry us into Tuesday morning with some more heavy rain and high wind.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, Moderna states its confidence in having its data ready for the FDA's meeting in June. Plus, we'll take you to a Texas high school who's hoping to set a world record for twins in its graduating class. Today, we want to know, do you have any twins in your extended family? We will let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, stocks fell on Friday to end a brutal month. The Dow lost 939 points. The Nasdaq slid 536. S&P 500 down 155. It was the worst month for the Dow and the S&P 500 since March of 2020 when coronavirus restrictions took hold of the country. And for the tech-heavy Nasdaq, steep declines from major companies like Amazon and Facebook parent Meta platforms caused the worst sell-off since 2008. Looking ahead to this week, the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates by 0.5% following its two-day policy meeting. It would be the first hike greater than a quarter since 2000 as the Feds ramp up its fight against inflation. Increases to interest rates make borrowing for things like homes and cars more expensive. Moderna's chief medical officer told CBS's Face the Nation he is absolutely confident that data for the company's vaccine for young children will be ready for the FDA to review in June. Last week, Moderna asked the FDA for an emergency use authorization for the vaccine for kids under 6 years old. Pfizer also expects its data to be ready by the time the FDA holds its June meeting. All right, well, have you ever tried to send a text one way, but autocorrect replaces some of the words you're trying to send? Yes. According to an article in the Wall Street Journal, autocorrect is linked to how and what you were writing. This cell phone feature has two hidden dictionaries. The dynamic dictionary reflects the words distinctive to you, while the static contains words such as product names and proper nouns. Now, there is a way to prevent Apple devices from changing the words you want to say. If you have an iPhone, you can go to Settings, then General, then Keyboard, and finally Text Replacement. You can add your unique words to the text replacement database. There's a way to do this on Androids as well. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning we're discussing twins at Manfield High School in North Texas. It's believed that they're setting a world record with their 2022 graduating class. They've got 35 sets of twins and, oh, by the way, even a set of triplets. Our question for you this morning, any twins in your family? Right now, 67% of you say, yeah. Somebody's doubled up at some point in time. Appreciate your engagement each and every morning. Going to come back, celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. But first, off to the Big Apple. Let's check in with Tony.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, our Kindness 101 series is back with Steve Hartman and a lesson on inclusion. See how addressing loneliness in one school cafeteria turned into a nationwide movement. All that and more coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Lance Corporal Ronald Childers from Commerce, Oklahoma. He served in Iraq from 2004 to 2005. We thank you, Lance Corporal Ronald Childers, today's four-state hero.
We start with Ari Jackson. That is a resplendent bow. I absolutely adore that, Ari. She is turning the big number 3 in Pittsburgh.
All right,
we've got to match the bow too. How cool is that?
Yeah, Maylee Robb in Parsons, turning 4 years old. Look at that smile there.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Maylee.
Thank you, Maylee. You put a smile on my face this morning. Veda Huser now turning double digits. Veda is celebrating her 10th birthday. Miss Huser, have a wonderful day in Fredonia.
Chloe Sustarsik is turning 11 years old. Chloe celebrating in Arma, Kansas.
On to our teenagers as we start with Cole Harris. That's an award winner right there. Cole, a happy 13th to you. He is in Hepler.
All right, great picture there. And Ellie Bloom, welcome to the teenage years.
Hey, what
Ellie.
up, Ellie?
Oh, that's a pretty cool shot there. Birthday was actually on Saturday, celebrating in Frontenac.
Well,
Happy
she's
birthday.
busy Saturday. Looks
Yeah.
like she's getting her picture taken by the trophy. Happy birthday, Ellie. Logan Wilson, a happy 25th birthday. Good looking dog right there, Logan. I want you to know that these birthday wishes come from Grandma Linda, and Logan is in Erie.
All right, in Neosho, Michael Bullard celebrating birthday number 30 this year. Is that a bubble floating there?
Yeah.
I think they're chasing a bubble there.
It's
That's
great.
cool. Michael's in Neosho. Birthday wishes coming from the family.
That's great. Tyler Getman celebrating number 31. Good get right there. Once again, breakfast can be served. Tyler is in Hollowell.
All right, and in Webb City, Gavin McAllister celebrating birthday number 34 with a little throwback Chiefs pic there. That's pretty cool.
That was classic.
I like it.
That is classic. Gavin, you wear it well.
I wonder if that was like a dress up or maybe a Halloween costume.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Good thing.
Full uniform, pants and all. I like it.
Anna Swank celebrating 40th birthday. Anna, very happy birthday in Garland.
All right, Tim Adam turning 42 years old
What up, Tim?
in Pittsburgh. Happy birthday, Tim.
Happy birthday, Tim. Nathan Agee is turning 43. That makes me, you know what? It's called being a good dad, but I know that like after that day was over, he was exhausted. Let's just face it, he was. Nathan, happy birthday to you in the O Show.
And Carol Carden Schrodel turning the big 6-0. And there's Miss Carol with her little throwback pic there. Love it. What a sweetie there. Baxter Springs.
Now look at Carol Carden's pose and just how happy and how calm she looks. I bet you it took them 20 minutes to get her to so she wasn't running around the room. Carol, I would love to hear the story of that and know if that's true. It's a wonderful picture, though. Steve Turner, he's celebrating his 69th birthday. Steve is in Joplin, and birthday wishes coming from your wife, Carolyn.
All right. And Donna Gillard.
Hey!
Turning 71 this year. Donna is celebrating in Girard.
Can I tell you a quick story about Donna?
Sure.
So imagine like a tour bus, right? Huge bus. She taught me how to drive it. She used to be on the road. You know the mobile mammography bus?
Mm-hmm.
Donna drove that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she taught me how to drive it. So there's not a whole lot of stuff that woman can't do. Donna, very happy birthday to you. Jeanette Sylvie is turning 80. Miss Jeanette, she celebrates in Jasper.
All right. And Alice Perez celebrating birthday number 82 this year in Humboldt with love from Junior, Philip, Aaron, Mario, Dira, Eric, Mary, and all the grandkids.
That's a good picture. She looks like she's probably at a parade getting ready to watch one of those grandkids right there. Happy birthday, Alice. Shirley Griffith, she is celebrating her 87th birthday. A happy birthday to Shirley in Columbus.
And turning 95 this year, it's time to celebrate for Miss Verna Mae Wilson. Look how happy she is in that photo.
Just 1 year before Verna Mae is Catherine Colson. Miss Catherine is celebrating her 96th birthday. What a beautiful picture right there. If you know Miss Colson, you may know her as Nettie. And Miss Colson, this comes with love from the entire family. She is in Joplin.
I like her reserved seat sign there. That's where Grandma sits. Yeah. Happy birthday, Miss Catherine. And Scott and Lynn Ratley are celebrating 6 years together. The happy couple is in Joplin. And Anna Marie.
I like our note right here.
to Scott with love from Lynn.
I hope you didn't forget, Scott. We know Lynn didn't forget. I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he didn't. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's not like family sent that anniversary in, and yeah.
Well, I mean, their anniversary is today, so
that came from Lynn to Scott. So
as long as he's watching this morning, he's got all day to remember.
Scott, you knew it. You knew it. You had it. No bigs. You got it. Kevin Gardner celebrating birthday number 58. Happy birthday to Kevin in Commerce. Sharon Adamson celebrating the milestone 80. Sharon, a happy birthday in Girard. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. This is where you can send them into. And here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, apparently, humans not the only ones whose eyes are bigger than their stomachs, because we're going to find out what happens when a shark decides, I'm done with the fish in the sea, but you know what I will take? Your camera. That's coming up when we switch on over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Gusty winds on Friday fanned this house fire in Loma Linda, Missouri, just outside of Joplin. Firefighters from Joplin, Quapaw, Reddings Mill, and Galena all responded. Part of the roof collapsed, but no injuries were reported. A divided Missouri Senate narrowly votes to allow some food stamp recipients to use their benefits at restaurants. The bill extends the restaurant option to an estimated 182,000 households with elderly, disabled, and homeless residents enrolled in SNAP. Missouri's Republican Senate leaders joined Democrats to pass the bill, though most Republicans voted against it. The legislation now advances to the House. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly pledges to sign the bipartisan Axing the Food Tax bill. House lawmakers late Thursday night nearly voted unanimously in favor of the measure, which would phase out the state's 6.5% sales tax on food over 3 years. Senate approved the measure on Wednesday. When signed, the tax would first drop to 4% in January, and then it will fall by 2% every year until it hits 0 in 2025. Republican lawmakers in Kansas approve a measure to prohibit the state or its cities, counties, or school districts from imposing mask mandates. Lawmakers supporting the measure argued the pandemic showed the need to protect people's personal liberties. Critics said the restrictions would make it harder to check the spread of dangerous new diseases or even familiar ones like measles. Governor Kelly has not said what she will do with this bill, but it fell far short of the two-thirds majority necessary in both chambers to override a veto. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
We're starting to pick up action in Joplin as well. Of course, it's already been an extremely wet one, especially in northeast Oklahoma and in McDonald County, where we've got flood watches in effect as well. So we're a long way from being over, because even after this one moves off to the east, we've got a little bit behind it. And we're going to have spotty rain for the duration of our Monday. Now, this one is the greatest fear with this one is the flooding. The one for tonight, when this one formulates, this one is going to bring us some high winds as well. So heavy rain and high wind develop out in the northwest, say about 6 o'clock, and then rolls through. And that timeline going to take us all the way into Tuesday morning. Cooler tomorrow, but at least we stay on the dry side.
All right. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making lemon rosemary chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM, CBS Mornings. That's next, as May is Mental Health Awareness Month. A discussion about a campaign with celebrities sharing their personal mental health stories, and we'll hear about the importance of fighting the stigma and how to talk about mental health to kids.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, we take you to the Tom Rivers Field of Dreams, meant to include everyone.
Do me a favor. Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we'll do it again today at noon.